Taiwan streets are full of art. Everywhere you go, you can find paintings, structures, statues, and more. You just have to be open to looking. For today's video, I want to look at Tainan's Art Museum. Located in the heart of the city, it's a beautiful place, full of light and air and art. They rotate from quarter to quarter, so don't expect to find the same thing as me during your tour. In today's visit, I got to experience 4 levels. Each of them had finely curated exhibits with their own theme and ideas. And I appreciated the thoughtfulness with which these galleries were presented, even if I don't get it every time. The first level had a number of really interesting historical and artistic artifacts. They were selected with very specific themes in mind. Themes I saw as emphasizing an aspect of unique Taiwanese culture and spirit. In the first gallery, the theme was about 3D works of art. You would recognize many of these if you are familiar with Taiwan culture, such as the dragon or the statue of the long-bearded dude. A lot of these are from temples that you can find scattered across the cities. In another exhibit, they show lottery poetry and talismans. These traditional cultural items help relievers ward off bad spirits and help offer to them advice of what to do during hard or difficult times. Even if I can't read them, I found the writing on these items extremely beautiful. In another gallery, there are paintings and etchings of traditional Taiwanese gods on walls and wood. Traditionally, these have been painted on wooden beams in temples to ward off bad spirits. They're drawn in a flowing, bold style, like as if they themselves were a Chinese character. And at times, the drawing would be brilliantly colored to look as fierce as possible. These exhibits celebrate certain regional aspects of Taiwanese culture, and the goal, I feel, is to instill pride in people and to point out to them that the culture that the Taiwanese Han brought over here is worth remembering, and is a distinct counterpoint to the Chinese monoculture narrative. In the second level, they curated a few galleries based on the idea of home, togetherness, and resilience in the face of major life-changing challenges. You might think that means China, but I feel like this one is actually more about climate change and COVID. The first gallery focuses on the idea of home. What does home represent for the Taiwanese? So many Taiwanese are abroad from where they grew up. This exhibit tries to represent that feeling of what home means to them and the emotions it brings up to them during childhood and adulthood. This other one is focused on a theme of uncertainty in the face of climate change. Climate change is going to affect Taiwan in the future, but the effects remain unclear. This art piece shows a number of Taiwan dogs, representatives of Taiwan, crossing a shrinking sandbar surrounded by ocean. It's a visual metaphor of the future that the Taiwanese face as the oceans rise. The visual metaphors continue along with these photos of traditional Taiwanese aging houses being overtaken and surrounded by the water. The second level also featured a big special exhibition showcasing 4 local Tainan artists of renown: Chen Chengpo, Guo Po Chuen, Xu Wunyang, and Shen Chitai. They were born during the Japanese colonial period and were trained in both Western and Eastern techniques. Their stories are worth telling in the future, and I hope to do so more. I'm especially touched by the works of Chen Chengpo. Born in Jiayi and trained in Japan, he began to paint Taiwan at first using these Western techniques. Chen had been in the midst of transitioning into a more unique style until the 228 incident occurred and the Chinese nationalists executed him. Another guy I really appreciated is the art of Xu Wuyang, who lived to the age of 96. Born in Tainan, he went to the United States and became a doctor. He retired and then embarked on a long career as a painter. He painted all different styles and was immensely prolific. I see his art as having both Cubist and traditional Western styles. And in other works that I didn't record here, I can even see Latin and very strong Christian influences as well. Shen Chitai painted my favorite painting of the gallery, this red girl. He uses color in a way that makes it sing, and I can see a quiet energy in the way that he makes her leap off the canvas. They also replicated his art station here And I wish I could see some of the art over there, but it's kind of walled off. The most interesting exhibit on the third level had to do with digital art. Digital art is something that the Taiwanese have been experimenting with a lot of. I've not quite seen it before in other countries' art, so I get the feeling that it springs out of Taiwan's technology bent. This particular exhibition is by a lady named Lin Pei-Chuan. She has a series of these sort of post-human images of women and their bodies. She's been doing this since, I think, 2006. She mixes holograms, video, projection, graphic artistry, and more to create the single-room experience of Eve. According to the artist statement, Eve takes to the extreme the issue of modern technology today being used to objectify women's bodies. Eve here is the ultimate objectification, so much so that she is not human at all. She is metal, light, no hair, and inorganic. I found it pretty interesting, and the message, I thought, was really accessible. And I think, in general, this digital art thing is a taste, acquired taste. I first saw it actually at the National Palace Museum when digital artists began to remix traditional Chinese art. And at the time I was like, what is this? This isn't art. It's not painting. But over time I've really gotten to kind of taking a taste to it. And if you visit the Taipei Fine Arts Museum, I think you would really, really like some of the digital art they have there. On the fourth level is an interesting solo exhibition by Sophie Chang, wife of TSMC founder and billionaire Morris Chang. I'd seen an interview with her at the TSMC Museum of Innovation, and she seemed like a nice lady. She, of course, is aware of the opportunities that her husband's wealth has made possible. I don't think if she was someone other than Sophie Chang, her art would be hanging here. In her artist statement, she talks about the value that her social welfare work as head of the TSMC Foundation has had for creating her art. I found her style to be colorfully abstract. It is made with interesting colors on all types of different materials, and the touch of gold foil on some of these works is appreciated, and really aesthetically pleasing, actually. The English titles translated from the Chinese, I found them a bit lacking, but overall it's all well done. The Tainan Art Museum, for their part, emphasized that they want to make an art museum that is not just made up of art from professional artists. They wanted to find and present art from people working in all sorts of life. And that's true. I earlier mentioned that one of the 4 Tainan artists spent his working life as a doctor. And in a previous exhibit, they displayed the art of professional working physicians. And I think this idea of art made by citizens rather than art made by professional artists only is something that maybe helps break down the walls between, highfalutin art and stuff that anyone can make. Because I think there's a lot of interesting voices out there. And if you are running a small art museum that depends on kind of the will of the people, I think it's a great idea. So in conclusion, I find the Tainan Art Museum to be something special. Taiwan has seen a creative explosion in the past few years, fueled by a people looking to express themselves and a burgeoning contemporary art scene. I think there's some really interesting voices here, and it's all worth your time.